Welcome. How you guys doing today? We're always told to do our part, right? Maybe cleaning up leaves outside or doing the dishes, being considerate of someone else. But what is our part in a broader sense, in a deeper sense? Not just the superficial needs, which are part of the design, part of the day to day, obviously. But many of us are hurting, lonely, insecure, hiding our best selves, hiding our truths. Look at the world, there's a lot of anger, not inclusion, but exclusion. See a lot of hateful stuff in the media and the news. See a lot of unfair laws and policies that say benefit the wealthy or certain groups. That's not doing our part. We all have this potential, and when we feel stuck and alone, we're not fulfilling that potential. We're allowing the storms of the world to dictate who we are, how we act, what we think, just by the whims of the moment, the social media streams. Look at that. You got Kim Kardashian, you have Joe Rogan, you have news, you have, war in Russia. It's just a confusing stream of ideas that sideline us. And very few times, the news never makes you feel good, right? You look at it and it makes you feel horrible and kind of lost and pulled apart, powerless. And so doing our part is trying to honor that self within. That you would just know to do the dishes. You would know to go help out with those leaves. Humanity is a funny thing. We often, when we're in pain, feel like we're isolated. We're disconnected from God, if you will, from the divine calling, from that spark. You might be able to see that painting behind me. It's called The Oversoul by a painter by the name of Alex Gray. And it's sort of just this soul expanding out into the infinite. He can see into the infinite. And that's where our truths really lie, is that deep part within that we keep hidden because we don't want it to get hurt. But the problem is, if we're keeping it hidden, it's hurt. We're not doing our part to fulfill ourselves. If each individual obviously fulfilled his or herself, well, what kind of a world do you have? You have a beautiful world. You have an inclusive world. You have a caring and fair world. That's what doing our part really means, is fulfilling our part, is honoring ourselves. I have a line that judgment stifles authenticity. Judgment. It's what we're often afraid of, right? Other people's comments or opinions of us, sometimes more powerfully than our own. Isn't that interesting that we often value other people's opinions more than our own? I know it can be scary in a fragile place, but as the saying goes, where you put energy grows, you put attention grows. And if we're always stomping on the flowers so no one can stomp on them, first we're left with a dead garden, a toxic garden, a dark garden. And so our jobs are to keep doing our best to do our parts, to love ourselves, to love others, to honor others, not to tear down. Tear down is just an example of how we feel about ourselves, torn down. And so society, culture, we're a part of it all. Every one of us makes up society. There is no society without us. There is no companies, corporations, government, courthouses, media, there's nothing without us. We are every part, every aspect of it. And so greed and selfishness because we're hurting, give me, I got to get mine, isn't really the best way to go about it, right? That's not even loving ourselves. That's saying there isn't enough and I've got to take. But as I'm sure you know, there's more benefit in giving than in taking. What goes around comes around, as they say. It's our jobs, our responsibilities to do our part. And part of our part in the doing is love, is consideration, is kindness, is, I don't need all of this for me. I can share. What happens when you share? I mean, you show caring and that person feels caring. And that usually gets paid forward. This is the best of who we can be within me, within you, within every one of us. If we do our parts, it's not always easy, I know, because there's pain, there's doubts. But those doubts, those things aren't happening right now. Right? Nothing that my past isn't happening to me either right now. It's a game of the mind. I'm in the present. I'm sitting talking to you, looking at the picture, sitting in this lovely room with the beautiful sunlight behind me. It's our best selves in the sun, right? Sometimes we're afraid of our best selves, but the truth is, how does it feel when you're in the sun? How does it feel when you're laughing? How does it feel when you're inspired? How does it feel when you're at the beach or playing with your dog or playing with your kids or a loved one? That's all it means, really. So think of taking all that away from you. That's the darkness. That's the pain. That's the hiding. Doesn't feel good, and yet we continue to long for that light. Well, just take little incremental steps. It can heal this divisiveness, but most importantly, it can heal the divisiveness within us. And then we bring that into the world, and we heal the world. We heal those broken hearts, those cold hearts, those selfish hearts. That's doing our part, truly. What is it to give 100% of yourself to your life? I'm learning that myself. Be real, be well, and the world becomes well. Be ugly, and the world becomes ugly. Thank you.